My hollow logs packed with legal flash charges detonated like the 4th of July on steroids as USDA Inspector Brenda Clipboard Hartwell raided my firewood pile for the 5th time this harvest season. For months, this federal badge-wearing Karen had been swiping my seasoned hickory faster than a raccoon in a dumpster while I recovered from a shattered femur. $2,400 worth of premium hardwood vanished log by log like I was too broken to notice. She thought a grieving veteran farmer was an easy mark. Fatal mistake, Brenda. So, I replaced my real firewood with hollow logs stuffed with USDA-compliant pyrotechnic justice. One grab, one explosion, one deafening announcement of her crimes to every ranch within 10 miles. But that boom was just the opening salvo. What I uncovered about Brenda over the next 8 weeks. Let's just say her firewood theft was the kindling of a federal-grade corruption bonfire involving missing grant money, falsified inspection reports, and some very dangerous off-the-books players. What would you do if a USDA tyrant kept stealing from you while you were bedridden? Drop your county below. This gets so much worse. My name is Marcus M. Donovan, 52 years old, retired Army Corps of Engineers after 23 years defusing IEDs in places the news can't spell. 9 months ago, I bought Donovan Ridge Farm, a 47-acre slice of Colorado heaven where the morning mist smells like pine resin and possibility. I picked the back 40 specifically for Elena. We planned her dream orchard, gala apples, Montmorency cherries, and a wood-fired pizza oven made from the very hickory I'd seasoned myself. Pancreatic cancer stole her 3 months before we could plant the first sapling. But I built the woodshed anyway. The smell of fresh-cut oak mixed with her lingering vanilla perfume became my grief therapy. The rhythmic thunk of my maul-splitting logs was the only sound that quieted the silence she left behind. Donovan Ridge seemed perfect. 47 neighboring farms, families who waved from tractors, and a USDA district office that was supposed to support us, not rob us blind. Then Brenda Hartwell got promoted to lead compliance inspector, and support went out the window faster than a coyote with its tail on fire. Picture your worst bureaucratic nightmare, but with a federal badge and the organizational skills of a Gestapo quartermaster. 49 years old, drives a white Ford Expedition detailed more often than most folks change socks. Lives in the glass-walled McMansion overlooking the valley like she's the queen of agriculture. Her husband Craig is a pharmaceutical rep with the personality of unsalted oatmeal. Perfect match. Brenda's signature perfume, something that probably cost more than my monthly seed bill, would cling to my barn walls for hours after her routine inspections. She had this way of tapping her steel-toe boots against my concrete floor while explaining violations with the condescending patience of a DMV clerk. The trouble started in September when I ordered 8 cords of seasoned hickory for winter. $2,400 worth stacked 20 feet from my barn per every USDA setback rule. I needed it for the pizza oven and Elena's dream of wood-fired grief therapy. The wood lasted exactly 9 days. Wednesday morning, I limped outside on crutches with my coffee and nearly choked on the steam. 3 entire cords had vanished overnight. Not scattered by wind or gnawed by beavers. Professionally removed, leaving neat gaps like missing teeth in a jack-o'-lantern. The remaining stacks were deliberately rearranged to hide the theft. My gravel driveway showed fresh Expedition tread marks, Michelin Defenders, size 275/55 R20, the exact tires on Brenda's rig. Thursday brought a certified letter that hit my mailbox with the thud of incoming artillery. Inside, a formal USDA violation signed with Brenda's flourishing cursive. Excessive firewood storage creates fire hazard and visual blight. Resident must reduce to maximum 2 cords, properly covered, minimum 25 feet from all structures. Compliance within 7 days or face $500 daily fines and grant forfeiture. I grabbed my crutches and hobbled the property. 25 feet from all structures on my corner lot. The math was impossible. My legal storage area would be the size of a chicken coop. The brilliance of Brenda's trap crystallized. She'd engineered an impossible compliance standard specifically for my farm, then stolen my firewood while I scrambled to obey her rigged rules. Local sheriff? Federal matter. Contact DC. Attorney consultation? $500 an hour for a legal war against someone who earned 6 figures falsifying federal reports. That night, I sat in my half-empty woodshed, surrounded by Elena's unfinished pizza oven bricks, listening to the October wind rattle the tin roof. The bitter irony tasted like gunpowder. 23 years surviving actual combat only to be systematically destroyed by a federal clipboard terrorist. But Elena always said I was most dangerous when people assumed I was harmless. Time to remind our district dictator why you never underestimate a grieving demolitions expert with nothing left to lose. My first counterpunch was surgical precision wrapped in rural politeness. Friday morning, I printed high-definition screenshots from my barn cameras. Timestamps clear, license plates visible. Brenda's face caught in criminal clarity, loading my hickory into her pristine expedition. I hobbled across the county road to her glass McMansion at exactly 8 a.m., right when she'd be sipping her $9 latte and checking federal grant spreadsheets. The doorbell played Beethoven's Fifth like she was royalty. "Good morning, Inspector Hartwell," I said, holding up the photos with the calm smile Elena said made me look like a polite serial killer. "Beautiful day to discuss federal theft, don't you think?" Her face cycled through more colors than a feed store seed catalog. The aroma of her overpriced coffee couldn't mask the sudden scent of fierce sweat. "I have no idea what you're implying, Mr. Donovan." "I'm not implying. I'm stating." I spread the photos on her granite island like evidence at a war crimes tribunal. "That's your expedition. That's my hickory. That's you committing felony theft while I recovered from surgery." Brenda's perfectly applied mascara couldn't hide the panic. Through her floor-to-ceiling windows, my missing splitting mall sat in her garage like a neon confession. "This is harassment," she stammered, but her voice had lost its federal authority. "Here's my offer," I continued. "Return my wood in 24 hours. Pay for what you've sold. Withdraw that citation. We forget this misunderstanding." Her eyes narrowed into angry slits. "You have 48 hours to remove those cameras or face a federal investigation for stalking." I gathered my photos with deliberate slowness. "Brenda, I've dismantled bombs in Fallujah. Your threats are about as intimidating as a wet cornstalk." She slammed the door hard enough to rattle her custom windows. I hobbled home whistling Elena's favorite Johnny Cash. By noon, Brenda escalated beautifully. A formal USDA complaint materialized in my mailbox. Resident intimidation and aggressive behavior constituting harassment of federal personnel. Threatened immediate grant termination and $10,000 fines. But my morning recon had paid dividends. Facebook Marketplace revealed Brenda's spectacular stupidity. Premium seasoned hickory, $12 per bundle, limited quantity. Posted from her personal account with photos showing my purple spray-painted log ends, Elena's organizational system. The woman wasn't just a thief. She was an amateur. Then Dave Patterson knocked on my barn door, looking like he'd seen ghosts in his cornfield. "Mac, we need to talk about your firewood. And about Brenda." Dave's confession opened floodgates. This wasn't targeted harassment. It was systematic rural predation. While his family was at the state fair, Brenda's inspection resulted in his missing chainsaw. Margaret Walsh, the 72-year-old widow 3 farms down, lost her antique cider press after questioning USDA grant discrepancies. She said it violated aesthetic standards. Dave clenched his calloused hands. That press was her husband's. She cried for days. The tactical picture crystallized like a satellite intel briefing. Brenda wasn't running vendettas. She was operating a calculated theft ring using federal authority as cover. Target vulnerable farmers, manufacture violations, profit from chaos. I remembered Army intelligence training. Criminals escalate when confronted. Brenda's threats weren't defense. They were offensive positioning. That evening, I called Tom Morrison, the retired AG lawyer whose heirloom tomato vines could make Martha Stewart weep. Tom had lost a conservation grant last year after Brenda adjusted his soil reports. "I can provide informal guidance," Tom offered after reviewing my evidence. "But Mac, you're dealing with someone who's weaponized federal bureaucracy." We spread documentation across Tom's oak table. Photos, timestamps, marketplace screenshots, USDA citations. The pattern emerged with military clarity. Identify targets, falsify violations, exploit authority, profit. Studying the evidence triggered professional fascination. 23 years dismantling IEDs taught me to think like opponents. Every bomb had patterns, weaknesses, triggers. Brenda Hartwell was about to discover some veterans don't just fight back. They dismantle enemies with the same precision they once used to save lives. My second counterpunch was documentation warfare that would make FBI cyber units jealous. Saturday morning, I assembled an evidence portfolio thick enough to choke a combine. High-res photos, financial calculations, neighborhood theft map. The crisp autumn air carried the scent of crushed apples as I hand-delivered copies to every farmer. Watching faces transform from polite skepticism to white-hot fury as they recognized their missing tools in Brenda's marketplace listings. By afternoon, I posted the security footage on our county Facebook group. Anyone recognize these midnight log movers? The digital explosion made Mount St. Helens look like a campfire. Within 2 hours, 62 comments flooded in. Sarah Jules spotted her solar barn lights in Brenda's garage background. Robert Sterling, ironically one of Brenda's grant allies, realized his stolen log splitter was being sold by his own USDA inspector. Margaret Walsh's cider press appeared in a weekend farm auction priced at $800. But Brenda's retaliation revealed something darker. Monday brought nuclear warfare. An emergency USDA hearing notice claiming I was conducting a harassment campaign threatening regional food safety. Agenda included a $1,000 special assessment per farm for enhanced compliance measures and discussion of my immediate grant termination for veteran-related intimidation. The county Grange Hall smelled of panic and expensive perfume as Brenda presented her case to a packed room. She transformed into a concerned public servant, complete with crocodile tears about feeling unsafe. Marcus Donovan has military training in explosive devices, she announced, voice trembling. He's been photographing our farms, studying our schedules, making threats about his particular set of skills. How long before his PTSD escalates to violence? The room went silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights and my blood pressure spiking. Then Dave Patterson stood, his farmer's voice cutting through her performance like a disc harrow. Brenda, where's my chainsaw? I beg your pardon? My steel disappeared during your inspection while we were at the fair. Showed up on Marketplace the next day. Same nick in the bar from my son's bike. Margaret Walsh rose slowly, her 72-year-old voice carrying decades of steel. And my cider press. The one you said violated aesthetic standards. One by one, farmers stood. Susan Patterson, Tom Morrison, even quiet Mrs. Jules. Each shared stories of mysterious disappearances during Brenda's inspections. That's when the real nuke dropped. Craig Hartwell walked in and slammed a manila envelope on the table. His face looked like he'd been gargling gravel. Those are Brenda's bank statements, he announced. And the divorce papers I filed this morning. My wife's been funding a $210,000 gambling addiction by stealing from our farmers. The envelope spilled like evidence at a RICO trial. Casino receipts, underground poker debts, loan shark schedules. Brenda's theft ring wasn't feeding bureaucratic greed. It was feeding dangerous creditors who'd break her knees if payments stopped. From my intelligence days, I knew compromised individuals become exponentially dangerous when survival depends on lies. The room erupted. Brenda stood frozen, her victim narrative collapsing. But I noticed her purse was open, inside, a small recording device. She'd been documenting to edit into evidence of my threats. This wasn't defense. It was calculated offense. My third counterpunch was psychological warfare disguised as helpless vulnerability. Wednesday, I ordered 4 cords of premium hickory delivered to my front pasture with the subtlety of a county parade. The delivery truck's diesel rumble announced my replacement inventory to every farm within 5 miles. I tipped the driver loudly for Brenda's surveillance cameras to record my theatrical gratitude for wood to honor Elena's memory. Thursday, I spread word through Dave that I was heading to Denver for follow-up surgery. A 3-day procedure leaving my farm unguarded. The story spread faster than gossip at the feed store. Of course, I'd be camped in Dave's loft with night vision binoculars and Elena's frozen apple pies, watching my back 40 like a hawk. Brenda took the bait with Black Friday enthusiasm. Thursday evening, 3 reconnaissance passes in her expedition. Friday, a marketplace post, premium hickory, $18 per bundle, cash only, pre-order now. She was pre-selling my wood before stealing it. Saturday afternoon, a black Escalade with tinted windows parked near Brenda's. 2 suits sat inside for 52 minutes, checking phones with the patient menace of professional collectors. My intelligence training screamed, "Gambling debts don't get gentle reminders." Sunday, my demolition buddy Jake Sullivan arrived with military training gear disguised as camping equipment. Hollow log flashbang devices, legal for licensed handlers, identical bark, perfect weight. Loud enough to wake 3 counties. Jake grinned. 0 damage, maximum announcement. Monday, the Escalade returned with 3 occupants photographing Brenda's house and reviewing red ink schedules. Dave appeared at noon, hands shaking. "Mac, those suits asked Mrs. Jules about Brenda's business. When she said nothing, one smiled and said they'd help her remember." The timeline crystallized. Brenda had 48 hours to produce $30,000 or face enhanced collection. She'd hit my wood tonight. Tuesday morning, a manila envelope under my door. Craig's handwriting. Found these in her USDA safe. She doesn't know I copied. Inside, falsified grant records. Brenda had stolen $62,000 from conservation funds. But the gut punch. Her debts were $280,000 to an organized crime network. The Escalade enforcers had broken legs in Aurora last month. Craig's text. "She knows about your new wood. Planning to steal tonight with backup. 3 pros. They think you're just a broken veteran." Included farm blueprints with camera locations. Tom's basement became mission control. Dave spread property maps. Susan calculated $1,800 special assessments per farm to cover embezzlement. Jake positioned 16 hollow logs. Colorado statute. Felony theft over $2,000 equals citizen's arrest. Wednesday 11:45 p.m. Headlights at Brenda's. 3 criminals emerged with bolt cutters. 1 jammed my cameras, but our military-grade backups laughed at their commercial jammers. 12:03 a.m. They descended on my wood pile. Brenda directed, "Take the hickory first. Skip the green." The lead thief tapped a hollow log. "Feels off." Brenda hissed, "My payment's due in 12 hours or we're dead." "Load it." Contact. 3 devices armed. But then police sirens. Margaret Walsh's panic button. The crew fled. Brenda stood alone, grabbed a log. Boom. 12:17 a.m. The flashbang lit up Donovan Ridge like God's camera flash. 120+ decibels echoed off barn metal. Brenda stumbled, blinded, singed hair smoking. Porch lights blazed. 47 farmers poured out in pajamas and muck boots. 3 sheriff cruisers screamed in, real ones this time, responding to 911 explosion calls. Deputy Martinez found Brenda dazed in my wood pile. "Ma'am, step away from the whatever just detonated." I hobbled out with my evidence portfolio. "Deputy." Mrs. Hartwell triggered my legal theft detection system. Spread photos across the cruiser hood. Theft footage, marketplace sales, falsified USDA grants. Craig pushed through. "Officers, my wife owes $280,000 to organized crime. She's been stealing from farmers to pay enforcers." His envelope. Casino debts, enforcer photos, embezzlement records. Dave. "My chainsaw." Margaret. "My cider press." Tom. $62,000 stolen from conservation grants. Martinez to me. "Most creative citizens arrest in 20 years. I smiled. Sometimes the best way to catch a thief is to let them announce their own crimes. 6 weeks later. Brenda pled to felony theft, embezzlement, wire fraud, 24 months probation, $68,000 restitution, USDA badge revoked. Her community service. Maintaining the Elena Donovan Memorial Orchard, 47 apple trees planted by neighbors, cider press restored, solar lights glowing. I was elected USDA liaison. First unanimous vote in district history. New rules. Monthly grant transparency, annual audits, rotating oversight. The Elena Fund Scholarship exceeded goals via military times features. Jake teaches legal farm security workshops. Colorado passed the Rural Financial Protection Act. Every evening, I sit under Elena's apple trees, neighbors sharing cider and stories. The peace she dreamed of arrived, just via explosive justice. Next week, helping a disabled Marine fight a USDA foreclosure over a flagpole. Some tyrants never learn. Drop your USDA nightmare below. Subscribe for Rural Revenge. Elena's legacy protects farms nationwide. One hollow log at a time. 2.1s.